Hello everyone, welcome to my show. I'm the Empath, and today we have Babble, and we're starting off in Genesis chapter 35. God blesses Jacob at Bethel. God said to Jacob, "Go to Bethel at once and live there. Build an altar there to me, the God who appeared to you when you were running away from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his family and to all who were with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods that you have. Purify yourselves and put on clean clothes." He's older now, so I'm doing an older voice. "We are going to leave here and go to Bethel, where I will build an altar to the God who helped me in the time of my trouble, and who has been with me everywhere I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods that they had, and also the earrings that they were wearing. He buried them beneath the oak tree near Shechem. When Jacob and his sons started to leave, great fear fell on the people of the nearby towns, and they did not pursue them. Jacob came with all his people to Luz, which is now known as Bethel, in the land of Canaan. He built an altar there and named the place for the God of Bethel, because God had revealed himself to him there when he was running away from his brother. Rebekah's nurse, Deborah, died and was buried beneath the oak south of Bethel, so it was named Oak of Weeping. When Jacob returned from Mesopotamia, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but from now on it will be Israel." So God named him Israel. And God said to him, "I am Almighty God. Have many children. Nations will be descended from you, and you will be the ancestor of kings. I will give you the land which I gave to Abraham and to Isaac, and I will also give it to your descendants after you." Then God left him. There, where God had spoken to him, Jacob set up a memorial stone and consecrated it by pouring wine and olive oil on it. He named the place Bethel. All these different names and stuff. Let's name it this. Let's rename it to this because of my encounter with God. Let's rename it to this because of my encounter with God. It's a confusing thing. I read Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, so I'm still a little salty about all the mixed up name stuff. By the way, if you ever get a chance to read Crime and Punishment, don't. The death of Rachel. Jacob and his family left Bethel, and when they were still some distance from Ephrath. The time came for Rachel to have her baby, and she was having difficult labor. When the labor pains were at their worst, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid, Rachel. It's another boy." But she was dying, and as she breathed her last, she named her son Benoni, but his father named him Benjamin. When Rachel died, she was buried beside the road to Ephrath, now known as Bethlehem. Jacob set up a memorial stone there, and it still marks Rachel's grave to this day. Jacob moved on and set up his camp on the other side of the Tower of Eder. The sons of Jacob. While Jacob was living in that land, Reuben had sexual intercourse with Bilhah, one of his father's concubines. Jacob heard about it and was furious. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. So those were Leah's 6. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. That makes a total of 8. The sons of Rachel's slave Bilhah were Dan and Naphtali, which makes 10. And the sons of Leah's slave Zilpah were Gad and Asher, which makes 12. Yeah. These sons were born in Mesopotamia. You see, I like, by the way, if you haven't seen it, watch Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's one of my personal favorites. The death of Isaac. Jacob went to his father Isaac at Mamre near Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had lived. Isaac lived to be 180 years old and died at a ripe old age, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. And then we're into chapter 36. So basically, they traveled. There was one more kid, and then Rachel died. The naming places, etc. Alright, chapter 36, the descendants of Esau. These are the descendants of Esau, also called Edom. Esau married Canaanite women, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, son of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth. Ada bore Eliphaz. Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. All these sons were born to Esau in the land of Canaan. All these names. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the people of his house, along with all his livestock and all the possessions he had gotten in the land of Canaan, and went away from his brother Jacob to another land. He left because the land where he and Jacob were living was not able to support them. They had too much livestock and could no longer stay together. So Esau lived in the hill country of Edom. These are the descendants of Esau, the ancestor of the Edomites. Esau's wife Adah bore him one son, Eliphaz, and Eliphaz had 5 sons, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. And by another wife, Timnah, he had one more son, Amalek. Esau's wife, Basemath, bore him one son, Reuel, and Reuel had 4 sons, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. Esau's wife, Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, son of Zibeon, bore him 3 sons, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. We went over that. These are the tribes descended from Esau. Esau's first son, Eliphaz, was the ancestor of the following tribes: Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These were all descendants of Esau's wife, Adah. Esau's son, Reuel, was the ancestor of the following tribes: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were all descendants of Esau's wife, Basemath. The following tribes were descended from Esau by his wife, Oholibamah. I realize I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'm tired, so. The daughter of Anah, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. All these tribes were descended from Esau. Good Lord. The descendants of Seir. The original inhabitants of the land of Edom were divided into tribes, which traced their ancestry to the following descendants of Seir: a Horite, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. Yeah, there's Dishon and Dishan. Lotan was the ancestor of the clans of Hori and Heman, or Heman. Lotan had a sister named Timnah. Shobal was the ancestor of the clans of Alvin, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. Zibeon had 2 sons, Aiah and Anah. This is the Anah who found the hot springs in the wilderness when he was taking care of his father's donkeys. Anah was the father of Dishon, who was the ancestor of the clans of Hamdan, Eshbon, Ithron, and Cheron. Anah also had a daughter named Oholibamah. The funny thing is it looks like Oholibamah. And, Obama, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Ezer was the ancestor of the clans of Bilhan, Zeavan, and Achan. Dishon was the ancestor of the clans of Uz and Aaron. These are the Horite tribes in the land of Edom: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. God. I can keep going. The kings of Edom. Before there were many kings in Israel, the following kings ruled the land of Edom in succession: Bela, son of Beor, from Dinhaba; Jobab, son of Zerah, from Basra; Husham, from the region of Teman; Hadad, son of Bedad, from Avith. He defeated the Midianites in a battle in the country of Moab; Simla, from Masrekah; Shaul, from Rehoboth on the river; Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor; Hadad from Pau, his wife was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred and granddaughter of Mezahab. Esau was the ancestor of the following Edomite tribes: Timnah, Alva, Jaheth, Aholabama, Elah, Pinan, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. The area where each of these tribes lived was known by the name of the tribe. My nose itches, and so I rub at it. Weird. Anyway. Chapter 37. Joseph and his brothers. My camera is tilting because my wallet is not the best stand for it. Let's hope that holds. Jacob continued to live in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived, and this is the story of Jacob's family. And he will be referred to as Israel eventually. Joseph, a young man of 17, took care of the sheep and goats with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's concubines. He brought bad reports to his father about what his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other sons, because he had been born to him when he was old. He made a long robe with full sleeves for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than he loved them, they hated their brother so much that they would not speak to him in a friendly manner. One time Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. He said, "Listen to the dream I had. We were all in the field tying up sheaves of wheat, when my sheaf got up and stood up straight. Yours formed a circle around mine and bowed down to it." Do you think you are going to be a king and rule over us?" his brothers asked. So they hated him even more because of his dreams and because of what he had said about them. Then Joseph had another dream and told his brothers, "I had another dream, in which I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." He also told the dream to his father, and his father scolded him. "What kind of a dream is that? Do you think that your mother, your brothers, and I are going to come and bow down to you?" Joseph's brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept thinking about the whole matter. Joseph is sold and taken to Egypt. One day when Joseph's brothers had gone to Shechem to take care of their father's flock, Jacob said to Joseph, "I want you to go to Shechem, where your brothers are taking care of the flock." Pardon me. Joseph answered, "I am ready." His father told him, "Go and see if your brothers are safe, and if the flock is all right. Then come back and tell me." So his father sent him on his way from Hebron Valley. Joseph arrived at Shechem and was wandering around in the country when a man saw him and asked him, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my brothers, who are taking care of their flock," he answered. "Can you tell me where they are?" The man said, "They have already left. I heard them say they were going to Dothan." So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted against him and decided to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes that dreamer. Come on now, let's kill him and throw his body into the dry wells, into one of the dry wells. We can say that a wild animal killed him. Then we will see what becomes of his dreams." Reuben heard them and tried to save Joseph. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Just throw him into this well in the wilderness, but don't hurt him." He said this, planning to save him from them and send him back to his father. When Joseph came up to his brothers, they ripped off his long robe with full sleeves. Then they took him and threw him into the well, which was dry. While they were eating, they suddenly saw a group of Ishmaelites traveling from Gilead to Egypt. Their camels were loaded with spices and resins. Judah said to his brothers, what will we gain by killing our brother and covering up the murder? Let's sell him to these Ishmaelites. Then we won't have to hurt him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed, and when some Midianite traders came by, the brothers pulled Joseph out of the well and sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. Wouldn't be the first time that someone sold another person out for silver. But we get to that later in the New Testament. When Reuben came back, to the well and found that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes in sorrow. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is not there. What am I going to do?" Then they killed a goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They took the robe to their father and said, "We found this. Does it belong to your son?" Really? That's what they pulled. He recognized it and said, "Yes, it is. Some wild animal has killed him. My son Joseph has been torn to pieces." Jacob tore his clothes in sorrow and put on sackcloth. He mourned for his son a long time. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "I will go down to the world of the dead still mourning for my son." So he continued to mourn for his son Joseph. Meanwhile in Egypt the Midianites... Good Lord, I'm sorry. In Egypt the Midianites had sold Joseph to Potiphar. One moment. One of the king's officers, who was the captain of the palace guard. I've got time for one more chapter. Chapter 38, Judah and Tamar. About that time Judah left his brothers and went to stay with a man named Hira, who was from the town of Adullam. There Judah met a Canaanite girl whose father was named Shua. He married her, and she bore him a son, whom he named Er. She became pregnant again and bore another son, and named him Onan. Again she had a son and named him Shelah. Judah was at Achzib when the boy was born. For his first son Er, Judah got a wife whose name was Tamar. Er's conduct was evil, and it displeased the Lord, so the Lord killed him. Then Judah said to Er's brother Onan, "Go and sleep with your brother's widow. Fulfill your obligation to her as her husband's brother, so that your brother may have descendants." But Onan knew that the children would not belong to him, so when he had intercourse with his brother's widow, he let the semen spill on the ground, so that there would be no children for his brother. What he did displeased the Lord, and the Lord killed him also. That's interesting little side topic that I have to bring up. I know that a controversial topic is masturbation and it being a sin or not, and where it kind of came from, as far as I understand the situation. It came from this thing with Onan. It was called the sin of Onan, sort of thing, to masturbate. And whether it not guilty pleasure, whatever, ignoring all that, as far as it being a sin, I don't think it is a sin to do that. I think that the only reason why it was not okay in this case was because he was, God mandated to him that he was supposed to basically have children for his brother's sake. But he disobeyed an order from God, and that is why it was a sin. Not because, spill his seed upon the ground, whatever. It's because he disobeyed God. That's why I think that masturbation such is viewed as a sin in the way it is, other than the fact that you are doing stuff to sexually pleasure yourself, and there are a number of things in the Bible where when people do that, they do it in a way that's not good, like things like rape and things like that. And I think people just get a lot muddled in all the technicalities and misinterpretations. But anyway, we'll continue. So what he did displeased the Lord, and the Lord killed him also. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Return to your father's house and remain a widow until my son Shelah grows up." He said this because he was afraid that Shelah would be killed, as his brothers had been. So Tamar went back home. After some time Judah's wife died. When he had finished the time of mourning, he and his friend Hira of Adullam went to Timnah, where his sheep were being sheared. Someone told Tamar that her father-in-law was going to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she changed from the widow's clothes she had been wearing, covered her face with a veil, and sat down at the entrance to Enaim, a town on the road to Timnah. As she well knew, Judah's youngest son Shelah was now grown up, and yet she had not been given to him in marriage. When Judah saw her, he thought that she was a prostitute, because she had her face covered. He went over to her at the side of the road and said, "All right, how much do you charge?" He did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. Who is this? That was Judah. She said, "What will you give me?" He answered, "I will send you a young goat from my flock." She said, "All right, if you will give me something to keep as a pledge until you send the goat." "What shall I give you as a pledge?" he asked. She answered, "Your seal with its cord, and the walking stick you are carrying." He gave them to her, then they had intercourse, and she became pregnant. Tamar went home, took off her veil, and put her widow's clothes back on. Judah sent his friend Hira to take the goat and get back from the woman the articles he had pledged, but Hira could not find her. He asked some men at Enaim, where's the prostitute who was here by the road? I'm kind of giving up on voices. "There has never been a prostitute here," they answered. He returned to Judah and said, "I couldn't find her. The men of the place said that there had never been a prostitute there." Judah said, "Let her keep the things. We don't want people to laugh at us. I did try to pay her, but you couldn't find her." About 3 months later, someone told Judah, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar has been acting like a whore, and now she is pregnant." Judah ordered, "Take her out and burn her to death." As she was being taken out, she sent word to her father-in-law, "I am pregnant by the man who owns these things. Look at them and see whose they are, this seal with its cord and this walking stick." Judah recognized them and said, "She is in the right. I have failed in my obligation to her. I should have given her to my son Shelah in marriage." And Judah never had intercourse with her again. Why? None of that made sense. Like, the logistics of those were not smart choices. Why would you do that? Stupid people. Continuing. When the time came for her to give birth, it was discovered that she was going to have twins. While she was in labor, one of them put out an arm. The midwife caught it, tied a red thread around it, and said, "This one was born first." But he pulled his arm back, and his brother was born first. Then the midwife said, "So this is how you break your way out." So he was named Perez. Then his brother was born with the red thread on his arm, and he was named Zerah. Right, and that's the end of that chapter. So, basically, Jacob had sons, and Esau had sons, and so it's kind of doing a little bit of back and forth between one dude's sons and another dude's sons and descendants and all that. And people slept around and got pregnant with father-in-laws and weird stuff. That is a different culture from ours, so of course there are several things that are going to seem weird to us that to them, I guess, would seem natural in some cases. And it's just a bunch of hubbub and hullabaloo. Whatever. And that's the Bible for you. It gets interesting. But yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Like and favorite if you did. Subscribe to become a VIP today. And I will see you all next time. So, yeah. Have a great day.